Hello friends and welcome. Today we shall talk about genetic analysis and mapping in bacteria and bacteriophages. Let us first try to have a look at the main objectives of today's deliberation. Number first is to give a general and thorough idea about genetic analysis and genetic mapping. Number second, we shall be explaining in detail the genetic analysis in bacteria. Number third, to discuss genetic mapping in bacteria. Number fourth, to give a general idea about genetic analysis in bacteriophages. And finally, we shall be discussing genetic mapping in bacteriophages. To begin with, let me first of all give you a general introduction about genetic analysis. Genetic analysis is the overall process of studying and researching in fields of science that involve genetics and molecular biology. There are a number of applications that are developed from this research, and these are also considered parts of the process. The base system of analysis revolves around general genetics. Basic studies include identification of genes and inherited disorders. This research has been conducted for centuries on both a large scale physical observation basis and on a more microscopic scale. Genetic analysis can be used generally to describe methods both used in and resulting from the science of genetics and molecular biology, or to applications resulting from this research. Genetic analysis may be done to identify genetic or inherited disorders and also to make a differential diagnosis in certain somatic diseases such as cancer. Genetic analyses of cancer include detection of mutations, fusion genes and DNA copy number changes. Much of the research that set the foundation of genetic analysis began in prehistoric times. Early humans found that they could practice selective breeding to improve crops and animals. They also identified inherited traits in humans that were eliminated over the years. Genetic analyses include molecular technologies such as PCR, RT-PCR, DNA sequencing, DNA microarrays, and cytogenetic methods such as karyotyping and fluorescence in situ hybridization. DNA sequencing is essential to the applications of genetic analysis. This process is used to determine the order of nucleotide bases. Each molecule of DNA is made from adenine, guanine, cytosine and thymine, which determine what function the genes will possess. This was first discovered during the 1970s. DNA sequencing encompasses biochemical methods for determining the order of the nucleotide bases adenine, guanine, cytosine and thymine in a DNA oligonucleotide. By generating a DNA sequence for a particular organism, you are determining the patterns that make up genetic traits and in some cases behaviors. The study of genes has proved to be a powerful approach to understanding biological systems. Because genes affect virtually every aspect of the structure and function of an organism, being able to identify and determine the role of genes and the proteins that they encode is an important step in charting the various processes that underlie a particular character under investigation. It is interesting that geneticists study not only hereditary mechanisms but all biological mechanisms. Many different methodologies are used to study genes and gene activities, and these methodologies can be summarized briefly as follows. Number first is the isolation of mutants affecting the process under study. Number second, analysis of progeny of controlled matings between mutants and other discontinuous variants. Number third, biochemical analysis of cellular processes controlled by genes. Number fourth is the microscopic analysis, and number fifth, analysis of DNA directly. Now that we have understood genetic analysis, let us now try to understand gene mapping. Gene mapping describes the methods used to identify the locus of a gene and the distances between genes. The essence of all genome mapping is to place a collection of molecular markers onto their respective positions on the genome. Molecular markers come in all forms. Genes can be viewed as one special type of genetic markers in the construction of genome maps and mapped the same way as any other markers. There are two distinct types of maps used in the field of genome mapping, that is, genetic maps and physical maps. While both maps are a collection of genetic markers and gene loci, genetic maps distances are based on the genetic linkage information, while physical maps use actual physical distances usually measured in number of base pairs. While the physical map could be a more accurate representation of the genome, genetic maps often offer insights into the nature of different regions of the chromosome. For example, the genetic distance to physical distance ratio varies greatly at different genomic regions, which reflects different recombination rates, and such rate is often indicative of euchromatic versus heterochromatic regions of the genome. Researchers begin a genetic map by collecting samples of blood or tissue from family members that carry a prominent disease or trait and family members that do not. Scientists then isolate DNA from the samples and closely examine it, looking for the unique patterns in the DNA of the family members who do carry the disease than the DNA of those who do not carry the disease. These unique molecular patterns in the DNA are referred to as polymorphisms or markers. The first steps of building a genetic map are the development of genetic markers and a mapping population. Since the closer the two markers are on the chromosome, the more likely they are to be passed on to the next generation together. Therefore, the co-segregation patterns of all markers can be used to reconstruct their order. With this in mind, the genotypes of each genetic marker are recorded for both parents and in each individual in the following generations. The quality of the genetic maps is largely dependent upon these two factors, that is, the number of genetic markers on the map and the size of the mapping population. The two factors are interlinked, as a larger mapping population could increase the resolution of the map and prevent the map being saturated. In gene mapping, any sequence feature that can be faithfully distinguished from two parents can be used as a genetic marker. Now, let us try to learn the next part of our today's lecture, that is genetic analysis and mapping in bacteria. Studies on microbial genomes may provide crucial starting points for understanding the genomics of higher organisms. There are 32 microbial genomes sequenced to date and published. Bacteria obey the laws of genetics and the central dogma of life. DNA that carries genetic information is transcribed to RNA polypeptides, which are translated into protein. Viruses differ from other microbes as they can carry either DNA or RNA. Cell function depends on specific polypeptides, proteins, and enzymes encoded by genes. Bacterial chromosomes contain double-stranded molecules of DNA arranged in a circular form called plasmids. Plasmids are located in the cytoplasm of bacteria, are capable of autonomous replication and transfer genes from parent cell to daughter cell. Bacteria possess extra chromosomal genetic elements that encode for antibiotic resistance, toxins, virulence determining genes, and reduced sensitivity to mutagens such as heavy metals. Plasmid profiling using molecular, biochemical, and microbial techniques is essential to understanding the mechanism of pathogenicity and to fuel genetic engineering. Conjugation is merely the fusion of two compatible bacterial cells. Bringing two genotypes together and allowing them to conjugate is the equivalent of making a cross in eukaryotes. Our discussion of conjugation will center on the gut bacterium, that is E. coli. Conjugation and gene transfer in E. coli are driven by a circular DNA plasmid called the fertility factor or sex factor, denoted by capital F, which is found in some but not all cells. Hence, to understand how to make a cross in E. coli, we have to understand the properties of F. Now, let us discuss the remarkable properties of the F plasmid. Cells carrying the F plasmid are designated as F positive and those lacking it are F negative. The F plasmid contains approximately 100 genes which give the plasmid several important properties. Number first, the F plasmid can replicate its own DNA, allowing the plasmid to be maintained in a dividing cell population. Number second, cells carrying the F plasmid promote the synthesis of pili on the bacterial cell surface. Number third, F positive and F negative cells can conjugate. When conjugation occurs, the F positive cells can act as donors. Number fourth, F positive cells are usually inhibited from making contact with other F positive cells, therefore, the F plasmid is not transferred from F positive to F negative. Number fifth, sometimes F carries within its genome one or more IS elements, that is, insertion sequence elements. The existence of a specific IS element both in the plasmid and in the chromosome affords a site at which homologous crossing over occasionally occurs. Conjugation allows genes from two different parental cells to come together in the same cell and hence provides an opportunity for recombination to occur. Hence, mapping analysis is possible. All conjugations are by definition of the type high frequency recombination donor and F negative recipient. After cell union, the high frequency recombination chromosome replicates in a peculiar manner that reels out a single stranded DNA molecule, which is then transferred linearly into the F negative cell. The replication and transfer begin at a specific point at one side of the integrated F called the origin. Genes close to the origin are transferred first. The integrated F factor would be transferred last. However, in most conjugations, the chromosomal transfer process stops before F enters. Gene transfer and recombination provide the key to mapping the bacterial chromosome. There are two main methods. Number first is mapping by interrupted conjugation, which produces a low resolution map of large parts of the genome, and number second is mapping by recombinant frequency, which produces a high resolution map of a smaller region. Now, let us discuss mapping by interrupted conjugation. In mapping by interrupted conjugation, the high frequency recombination and F negative cells are mixed and conjugation proceeds. Then at fixed times, the F negative cells are sampled to determine which donor alleles have entered. This sampling is accomplished by using a kitchen blender to separate the joined cells, resulting in interrupted conjugation. After separation, the high frequency recombination cells are selectively killed and the remaining F negative cells, the X conjugates, are tested to see which of the donor alleles have entered and stably recombined with the endogenote. The times at which various donor alleles first appear in the X conjugates are calculated. If a donor allele A positive enters the recipient at 5 minutes after union and allele B positive enters at 8 minutes, then the two genes are said to be 3 minutes apart on the chromosome. Now, coming to the high resolution mapping by recombinant frequency. Interrupted mating experiments provide a rough set of gene locations over the entire map. As we learned, the genes are mapped by time of entry. In such experiments, the exogenote must integrate by a double recombination event, but the mapping method is not based on any measurement of recombinant frequencies. However, to provide a higher resolution method for measuring the sizes of smaller map distances, recombinant frequencies are used. Now, at last, let us try to learn about genetic analysis and mapping in bacteriophages. Bacteriophages, the viruses, that parasitize and kill bacteria can be used in several different types of genetic analysis. First, two distinct phage genotypes can be crossed to measure recombination and hence map the viral genome. Second, they can be used as a way of bringing bacterial genes together for linkage and other genetic studies. Phages are also used in molecular technology as carriers or vectors of foreign DNA inserts from any organism. Most bacteria are susceptible to attack by bacteriophages, that is, the word literally means eaters of bacteria. A phage consists of a nucleic acid chromosome, which is generally DNA, surrounded by a coat of protein molecules. One well-studied class of phage strains comprises the T phages, that is T1, T2 and so forth. During infection, a phage attaches to a bacterium and injects its genetic material into the bacterial cytoplasm. The phage genetic information then takes over the machinery of the bacterial cell by turning off the synthesis of bacterial components and redirecting the bacterial synthetic system to make phage components. Ultimately, many phage descendants are released when the bacterial cell wall breaks open. This bursting process is called lysis. But what phage phenotypes can we study routinely, given that they are so small that they are visible only under the electron microscope? In the study of phages, we cannot produce a visible colony by plating, but we can produce a visible manifestation of infected bacteria by taking advantage of several phage characters. Let us look at the consequence of a phage infecting a single bacterial cell. Figure here shows the sequence of events in the infectious cycle that leads to the release of progeny phages from the lysed cell. After lysis, the progeny phages infect neighboring bacteria and these bacteria too lyse and reinfect. This reinfection results in an exponential increase in the number of lysed cells. Within 15 hours after the start of an experiment of this type, the effects are visible to the naked eye as a clear area or plaque on the opaque lawn of bacteria growing on the surface of a plate of solid medium. Such plaques can be large or small, fuzzy or sharp and so forth depending on the phage type. Thus, plaque morphology is a phage character that can be analyzed. Another phage character that we can analyze genetically is host range, because phages may differ in the spectrum of bacterial strains that they can infect and lyse. For example, certain strains of bacteria are immune to attachment or injection by specific phages. Now at last, let us discuss the phage cross. Genetic analysis of any organism is accomplished by bringing together two genetically different genomes into the same cell and giving them an opportunity to engage in recombination and segregation. Likewise, two distinct phage genomes can be united, but because of the parasitic nature of the phage, this union must be inside a bacterial cell. In other words, a phage cross must be made by a double infection of bacterial cells by the two phage types. The procedure can be illustrated by a cross of T2 phages. The genotypes of the two parental strains are H negative or positive and H positive or negative. The alleles correspond to the following phenotypes. H negative can infect two different E. coli strains, which we can call strains 1 and 2, and H positive can infect only one strain, that is strain 1. R negative rapidly lyses cells, thereby producing large plaques, and R positive slowly lyses cells, thus producing small plaques. In the cross, E. coli strain 1 is infected with both parental T2 phage genotypes at a phage bacteria ratio that is high enough to ensure that a large percentage of cells are simultaneously infected by both phage types. The phage lysate, that is the progeny phages, is then analyzed by spreading it onto a bacterial lawn composed of a mixture of E. coli strains 1 and 2. 4 plaque types are then distinguishable. These 4 genotypes can be scored easily as parental, that is H negative or positive and H positive or negative, and recombinant, and a recombinant frequency can be calculated as follows. Recombination frequency or RF is equal to H positive R positive plus H negative R negative whole divided by total plaques. Analysis of phase crosses is subject to complications. First, several rounds of exchange can potentially occur within the host. A recombinant produced shortly after infection may undergo further exchange at later times. And second, double infection can occur between genetically similar phages as well as between different types. With this, we come to the end of our today's lecture. Hope you have understood it very well. Thank you very much and goodbye.